Welcome to another edition of SJHL Insider. I'm your host, Clark Munroe, here at the IKS Media Studios. We have a lot to get into today. It's Thursday, December 19th. It's our final show before the Christmas break, which is coming up fast and furious. There's 3 more games of days before the Christmas break hits, but we have a couple of days of recaps to get into, talk about mid-season reports and some other things going on. Plus, we're going to be joined by head coach and general manager of the Flin Flon Bombers and also Team Canada West at the most recent World Junior A Challenge. Mike Reagan is going to be joining us after a bronze medal performance for Team Canada West. So excited to talk to him and get a little mid-season report from him as well, from up in Flin Flon. But first, let's have a look at our sponsors and thank them, of course. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors. Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, who is the sponsor of our coaches segments, of course. So shout out to SCSA. Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, the sponsor of all of our broadcasts, SGU, Great Western, SGI, who is the sponsor of our podcasts, of course, and RBC. So thanks to all of our sponsors. Again, wouldn't be here without them. The lights wouldn't be on. It would be a dark, dark time without them. So thank you. And thank you to the man who's sitting beside me because, Jamie, it sounds like you've been through the ringer today. We don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but thanks for being here. I know it was a bit of a jaunt, a bit of a journey this morning to get here and everything, but how's everything going with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you tee people up. I'll give a few details. I won't give every detail. But last night, I wasn't sure whether I could get to Wilcox given the weather.
It was a bit of a,
It was a big storm. If you don't know, lots of snow dumped.
Yeah.
But big time shout out to good guys, Bryce Sebastian, Aiden Slusar, and the referee crew. They actually met me at the Tim's in Harbor Landing in Regina, and Bryce Sebastian and his fancy Beamer took me down, and what a great dude. Great group of guys, and really did a great job reffing the game as well. Between Notre Dame and Melville last night as well. But they gave me a ride there, and Notre Dame trainer Joel Heidemann, legendary trainer, drove me back home after.
Yeah. No snowbanks this time?
Pardon?
No snowbanks
because the reason why I got rides home is because my windshield wiper broke off when I was trying to clear the ice off it before heading to Wilcox. Yeah, and then just a long night. Don't need to get into it. And then this morning I had car trouble, and it was a day. But here we are, no complaints. We live in a beautiful country, and it's a beautiful day. So
absolutely,
we can talk about hockey.
After last episode, I know you were dealing with some cold symptoms, and I got a text from former Estevan Bruins president Josh Biggs, and he said, "Get Nugsy a cough drop." And I said, "He's a warrior," and Josh was like, "I know, he is a warrior." And now, since then, my kids had been sick. I know Bryce's kids, I think, have been sick probably in the back there, and I was working closely with Bryce for the last little while. I think I mentioned this last episode of SJHL Insider, our entire IKS Media studio office was like emptied last week with illnesses. I got through all of it, and I was like, I'm in the clear. We're good. And then, on Monday, I woke up with the sorest throat I've had in months, and I think I'm okay generally, but a bit of a stuffy nose, a little congestion. So we're gonna get through this show today, folks. Yeah. We're gonna get through it.
But you know what? It's like Michael Jordan.
The flu game.
When you're sick, the flu game, you
do better.
You just focus. You don't have to. All the noise in your head is a little quieter. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. We are gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. And with that in mind, it's time. For the Prairie Proud hat trick.
Love that.
We're just like, we're jamming. We're jamming.
UFC gonna fight.
Director Bryce in the back is just getting so creative recently, and we appreciate the creativity, Bryce. Topic number 1, we're going to have a look at the last couple of days of games across the league. On Tuesday, there was 3. On Wednesday, yesterday, there was 1. So let's have a look at Tuesday. As you can see, the Flin Flon Bombers quadrupled up the Nipawin Hawks 8-2. Big game there for Flin Flon. The Melfort Mustangs and Notre Dame Hounds. What a battle that was, Nugsy, and you were in the building for that one. 2-1. Very close game. And then Yorkton in the final game in Assiniboia took a 4-1 win over the Weyburn/Assiniboia Red Wings. Weyburn's back at home, so the home cooking is back for Weyburn. They're back in their regular billet houses and everything. And then on Wednesday, the Notre Dame Hounds were in action again against the Melville Millionaires. As Neugebauer said, this was last night. Big snowstorm, but everybody made it, and it was a 3-1 Melville victory. So, Neugebauer, let's start with Tuesday. David Coyle potted 2 goals, and Jaron Denwyer and Jeff Hammond each added 1 to lead the Yorkton Terriers to a 4-1 win over the Weyburn Red Wings in Assiniboia. Again, it was the final game in Assiniboia in their little, a week and a half or so stint in the neutral site location for rink issues. It was really a 2-1 game as the third and fourth goals for Yorkton were empty netters late in the game, but Callum Craig made 28 saves in the win. Angelo Zoll made 27 saves in the loss. Neugebauer, Yorkton coming together at the right time. They're playing really great hockey lately.
Well, I'm actually going to... what's the word? If I'm going to correct you, I'm going to correct you.
Yes,
That's
please.
the right word. I believe Weyburn or Humboldt, pardon me, is playing tonight as well in Assiniboia.
Oh, yep.
So it's not wasn't the last one. But
You're
anyways,
right.
Not a big deal.
You're right.
So tonight it'll be Humboldt and
I literally made a
Weyburn.
video about that this morning.
Yeah.
So
Hey, welcome to my life. Welcome to my
Yeah.
life. No problem at all. Weyburn out a lot of guys. 7 forwards out for Weyburn, be it through suspension, which just don't get suspended,
Just don't get
and
suspended.
also injury issues. So, but 7 forwards out, and I was joking with Cody Mapes that I was ready to go, and he said, "Hey, great, you, me, and Casey O'Brien could form a line." And I said, "Perfect. I'll stand in front of the net. You guys can wheel it around, and I'll hope it goes off me."
in all fairness, I
it'll be
don't
fun.
know if I'd want to go up against a line of Cody Mapes and Casey O'Brien with anybody. They're a tough guys.
Well, that's why. And then
Have a
I just
decent
stand
little
close
line.
to the net. And Cody was down for it. And Kyle McIntyre keeps saying that he'll never let me coach in this league or at the showcase. And that's fine. But one coach at least wants me to play for him. Player coach Cody Mapes. So there you go. Yeah. Look, that all being said, yes, Yorkton's playing good hockey, but they play the same way every night.
Yeah.
It seems like they hang around. Whether
And then
it's
they pounce.
beautiful, whether it's not beautiful, they don't care. They find a way.
Yeah.
But Weyburn had far more good chances in this game, but Callum Craig really was absolutely brilliant. There was a lot of good saves made by the Yorkton goaltender. 18-5 in terms of XG plus 1.1 chances for Weyburn. 18-5, Clark. And of course, it's in Assiniboia. It's kind of in their quasi home.
Yeah.
They're fired up. But do that, with all those chances, what do they miss? They miss the finish,
Yeah.
right? And so no
They
Jerome
didn't have any
Maharaj.
players from Finland on their team.
Yeah, they were a lot very Swedish and not a lot of Finnish.
Yeah.
But also, again, it's kind of a captain clutch situation again for Jaron Denwyer. 6 game-winning goals on the year to lead the league. That's 6 game-winning goals
6.
by December. That is really impressive. Just Captain Clutch, I'll start calling him. It's
Boy,
also
Jaron.
his second shorthanded goal of the year. Proud member of Team Nukes
Oh
Stradamus.
boy, yep.
Of course, which
You're
we'll
right.
get into a fantasy update later.
talk
Spoiler
about it.
alert. But yeah, this is just the way the Yorkton Terriers played. Just get used to it.
Yep. I mean, yeah, and for Weyburn, like you said, they are dealing with some stuff right now, and they do have, like you said, one more game in Assiniboia tonight. But just another shout out. We did it on Monday quite heavily, but another shout out to the community of Assiniboia for doing everything that they've done and hosting this Weyburn team so well and representing so well. You're turning a lot of heads, people in Assiniboia. Trust me.
But bit of an undercover point streak for Ryder Romelaire.
Yeah.
It's the 6th game in a row, I believe, with a point.
There you go.
For Romelaire. And just a hard-nosed guy out of Prairie Hockey Academy, and kind of liked him for a while. Just always seems to be working 150%, going. Great motor on him. So, good to see that type of kid get rewarded. And we heard, Dylan Fiesel on the call say, "Stay hot, Ryder," on a great call when he scored. So, good for him. Get out there, score, and they need him because again they're missing some key guys. They still, have Ruthven in there, but and DK as well, but they're missing younger DK. They're missing Maharaj. They're missing Smith Davis. The list goes on. The beat goes on for Yorkton. Keep finding ways to win by hook or by crook, and sometimes they're just deeper than everybody. They just need one chance, and that's the way it goes.
Ryder Romelaire, a 18-year-old forward, born in Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And he's
I
coming
bet Kyle
along.
McIntyre knows him.
He is filling a role when needed. And as we always say, Nugsy, this is the league of opportunities, and Ryder Romelair is taking an opportunity and running with it right now. So you love to see that. Let's move on to the Flin Flon Nipawin game. It was an 8-2 win for the Flin Flon Bombers at home. 7 different goal scorers in this one for Flin Flon. 1 for Nipawin. Ashton Tate got both of theirs. Anthony Piccinino, Leo Seitz, Ryder Muka, Keith Gruner, Ryder Ringer, Kylan Olafson, Leighton Carruthers, and Ryder Muka again. Those are your goal scorers for the Flin Flon Bombers. And of course, Gage Roberts had a workout. 42 saves on the night for Nipawin, Gage Roberts in that one. Matthew Keeper in the win had 29 saves. Nugsy, what were your biggest takeaways from this one?
Yeah, I mean, not a ton, I'll be honest. Ashton Tate, 12 points in his last 6 games, by the way.
He's coming along.
Nipawin needed some goal scoring, and he brought him back down from the Western League, and he is a former Prince Albert Minto. And I always talk about kids that came out of the Mintos, and obviously Tim Leonard is done as of this past offseason, the great coach there in PA. But kids that seem to come out of the Mintos, after Tim Leonard, they have a structure. They seem ready to play, at least in the SJ. Whether or not they're going to dominate, but they're ready. And Ashton Tate's another example of a PA Minto that's just ready to play, and good for him, and 2 more goals. But yeah, look, first game back for Mike from the Junior A World Challenge, and we can talk to him about getting back on the Whitney bench, and I'm sure he enjoyed that. But who in the league is beating Flin Flon on a night like that? Obviously Cohen Senft and Luke Lepper also back. Luke had a point, I think. And look, you go into the Whitney on a big night, even though it's Tuesday, but still, you go into the Whitney. Mike Reagan's there. The emotions are high, and the avalanche starts rolling. And what are you going to do? And Nipawin again. Don't let this fool you. They're still playing good hockey. It doesn't get any easier for the Sasktel game of the month tomorrow, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, rematch.
Well, not rematch. It's Melfort.
Right, Melfort. Sorry, man.
But I mean, if you're gonna have 2
tell
games,
I'm sick?
It's okay, no problem. Hey, no problem. But 2 games in a row against Flin Flon and Melfort sounds like a lot of fun.
Easy.
Not easy. So it'd be interesting to see whether we see Roberts or Clayton tomorrow at the cage. But Flin Flon, I mentioned it. Rory and I had it out a little bit. Last thing I'll say, as good as Melfort has been, a lot of the metrics say that Flin Flon has been even just a little bit better. It's really since early November. So, not a big surprise.
And we'll dive into the standings in a little bit and just see kind of where everybody's sitting right now going into tonight's action. One interesting note from this Flin Flon Nipawin game, 130 penalty minutes.
Yeah, a whole bunch of fights.
Couple of fights for the boys. Only 6 power plays out of that, but at the same time, you got Vito Biondo dropped the glove. Oh, no, sorry, he didn't. It was Noah DeRuin dropped the gloves with Rhett Ewan. And then Aiden Bruce got into one. Justice Cutler got into one. Keith Gruner got into one. Cal Marsden got into one. There
was some spearing.
Boy.
There was some
couple misconducts.
All sorts of things. It was an old-fashioned Sherwood division.
Yeah.
Tilly at the Whitney. And
the Flin Flon
they'll beat you
fans,
up and they'll beat you.
The Flin Flon fans probably were a little rowdy, I would guess, if I had to guess. Let's move on now. The Melfort Mustangs, a 2-1 win over Notre Dame. Again, it was a very tight one at the Duncan McNeil on Tuesday night. Nick Andrusiak and Zach Summers scored. Nick Andrusiak opened the scoring. Liam Hunks tied it up midway through, or late in the second, and then Zach Summers got the game winner late in the third. Nugsy, can you tell us a little bit about this one? 41 shots for Melfort on the night. Caden Perron was in net, if I'm not mistaken, for that one. Young Caden Perron, who put it together a great performance. So tell us about this one.
Yeah, look, we talk a lot, and fair enough, we talk about what teams look like when they're at their best, right? What's their ceiling? Are they going to go far in the playoffs? I also am interested to see what it looks like when you're not at your best, like when you're not playing well. And Trevor Blevins was not thrilled with his team's performance. Now, what does that mean for Melfort to not play their best? It still means, 41 shots, 4 posts, and needing a great performance from the other goalie. And that's what happened, really. I mean, the Hounds did have their chances. It's the first time that I've seen this year with the Western Development Model. Of course, the WHL rules, meaning that pucks over glass is delay of game. And that really was a huge impact on the game. Tony Nolan, 2 minutes left, the puck, pops up on him, and he chips it over the boards, and then it's a one-timer from Zach Summers, and
Yep.
Game over. So look, the Hounds gave everything they had. Mustangs were nowhere near their best. They were without Ty Thornton. They were without Cole Unger. They were without Nolan Roberts. 3 big-time regular defensemen for them. But that just shows the depth of this Melfort team. They don't miss a beat. They're fine with, throwing in Logan Kipe. They're fine with throwing in Teo Fleury. And Danton Cox played D. And boy, does he look good anywhere you put him. And Melfort got him for free from Kindersley. So what a pickup. I really
Still
impressed.
paying off, yep.
It's really impressed with Danton Cox. And just to jump in, and he said he had 1 practice playing D and then jumps right back in
It's
there
like
playing
riding
D.
a bike.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, he was a D for the Prince Albert Mintos.
Yep.
So, yeah, look, Liam Hunk's beautiful footwork. I always say one of the things I look at for a D man is can you figure out how to get shots through? And Liam Hunks has certainly figured out how to get shots through.
Sure is.
He just use those edges and move right to left, and then nothing that that Christian Coombs could do about it. Great shot by Hunks, but then Zach Summers, that one-timer with 56 seconds left, break the Hounds' hearts. Looked like the Hounds were going to at least steal a point from the defending champs. But in the end, it wasn't to be. And, in the end, there were positives to take for both teams because of that. But here's some stats, and I'll finish on this for you. The Mustangs are now 13-0 in 1-goal games.
Yeah, we were talking about that on
Rory
Monday.
was mentioning that. It's the most ridiculous stat. 18-1 when they score the first goal. 17-0 when leading after the first period.
Jeez.
The first period.
Yeah.
And plus 49 goal difference and 2.14 goals against per game. That's a great recipe.
That is a
for
great
success.
formula.
So we praise Melfort a lot, for good reason. I don't think they've been great the last couple games, really, Melfort. That was honestly, again, the Melfort boys know I love them, but the game on Tuesday in Wilcox was maybe the worst game I've seen the Melfort Mustangs play in 2 years.
Wow.
They were not very good. I haven't watched every Melfort Mustangs game. They weren't great. I'm sure Trevor Blevins would agree. And when you're on a long win streak like they are, maybe you can, hammer them down a little bit of a peg.
Yeah.
That still meant they controlled the puck, and that meant that they had it still in the Notre Dame zone most of the night. But I know they can play a lot better. They know they can play a lot better. And maybe that'll motivate them for the game of the month tomorrow when they're in Nipawin. Big Ice, Trevor Levins pregame talked a lot about how the fact that his Mustangs team almost never seemed to play well in Wilcox, but the Big Ice and whatever. And maybe there's something to that there. They still hit a bunch of posts and needed a great performance. But, again, positive. Melfort found a way to win. Positive for Notre Dame. Caden Perron got an opportunity, second game of the year. Made a whole bunch of great saves. Good young man, and I'm glad to see him get an opportunity.
And Ethan Hamilton with his first point in the SJHL.
Yeah, big guy can really shoot a puck. Oh, man. He has a ball.
There you go. Well, there might be more points coming then.
Yeah.
Nick Andrusiak with 2 points from Melfort on the other end, too. Just a shout out to my fantasy team. You got to shout out yours earlier, so I'm shouting out mine. And Christian Coombs got the win as well.
Well, Trevor Blevins got me the win.
Also on the fantasy team. True. Let's move on to Wednesday. And Wednesday we saw just the one game, of course. Last night, and that was the Melville Millionaires visiting you again in Notre Dame. We talked about the snow and everything. 3 goals for Melville. Simon Perini, I think, is a guy that we don't talk about enough, and I think with the whole opening of a spot, I'll just say in their top 6, I think Simon Perini is going to start blowing up a little bit more, but he scored a goal. William Forsberg got a goal. Edward Knitting got a goal. He didn't open the scoring. Bexon Fox did. And you said something, we were joking when I was doing the broadcast with you, what was that, like a month ago now, during the other snowstorm? That you said something about Bexon Fox's was it his little brother, older brother, or something like that?
Yeah, his little brother,
He said, whatever. Something like that. Oh, well. But anyways, 3-1 win for Melville. What did you see in this one?
Well, beautiful pass. You mentioned Ethan Hamilton.
Yeah.
What a beautiful pass to find Bexon Fox for the breakaway and a neat little finish on Ben Lorette.
A couple of Ethans on the assists.
Yeah, the Ethans.
Ethan
I'm getting
Andrews,
confused.
Ethan
I get them mixed up between the two of them. Yeah, it was a great pass and a neat finish. But, I've said it 100 times, and I don't want to talk too much about the Hounds. It was not a good performance. I was pretty frustrated on the call, and a few people messaged me being like, "Cheer up, man!" Like, whatever. And that's fair enough. After the second intermission, I was like, I gotta be better here. So I was pretty frustrated. Melville came in and they worked hard as they usually do. And no Jaden Iogan in this one, no Raiden Zacharias in this one. Raiden played with Brandon a couple days ago in the Western League, and Iogan was there, but he didn't play. So I'm not really sure what the deal with that was, but typical, wasn't flashy at all from Melville. Simple low high to stuff. And one thing I'll say, Ben Lorette, 6 periods now, 2 games, 1 goal against.
Yep.
That was the breakaway for Beckson Fox.
Yep.
And I'm really getting shades of James Venn. James Venn for Melfort, of course, last year, now committed to D1, playing in the BCHL, like, did not care about a fancy save. Like, he didn't care about flopping or big glove save or rainbow. He could do it, but he didn't care. Like, just big in position, great rebound control. And I'm getting the shades of that from Lorette. Big fan so far from what I've seen. He shut out Estevan at home and then just gave up the one there for Notre Dame. And again, just frustrating about Notre Dame. I mentioned it actually on the call, and Bryce gave me a little props for it. He said, "You're right on," because the Hounds scored, and then so many times I said, "Next shift after you score a goal, what do you look like?" And the Hounds let themselves down. After that goal, and 18 seconds later, Kinetic puts it in the back of their net, and just the kind of the beat goes on, because the Melville Leaders are never going to take a shift off, or Doug Johnson will have something to say about it. So the Hounds, learning their lessons. Back-to-back games too has not been friendly to the Hounds all year. But from a human standpoint, last thing I'll say, Clark, Will Forsberg, I believe, is a good player. Good player in our league, and obviously does a lot of little things, face-offs and details and peak penalty killing, all that kind of thing. But for him to score, I'm sure it was a big weight off his shoulders. He scored his first goal of the year in 13, had his first 2 points, in fact, in his game 13 after a tough stretch there with L'Orange. So he was excited about it, and so good for him. And Melville, again, it was not pretty. It was their last game before the break. And a bunch of them were jumping on planes apparently today to Regina.
Not a bad place to play in Notre Dame to get right into the airport afterwards.
But it was not a pretty hockey game, and definitely if you're a Notre Dame fan, I was not impressed. And the only thing I'll say is Spencer Borstos was very good, and he usually is, and he was again.
34 saves for Spencer and 28 for Ben Lorette. So nice goalie performances there. Let's have a look at the standings now after we've talked about those 2 games. So 4 games have changed the standings, as per usual, quite a bit. So let's have a look at the league standings here, because it seems like every single time we bring it up, it's completely different. The way that the parity is going this year. We got Melfort now with a 12-point cushion, so that cushion is slowly increasing. 1 point at a time, it seems, Nugsy, because I think last time we talked about it, it was 11, and now it's 12. The Flin Flon Bombers are sitting in second place, but boy, Yorkton and Battlefords and Weyburn and Melville, frankly, are right behind them. So 3 points between second and sixth. And then there's a 3-way tie for seventh right now, with Humboldt sitting out of the playoff spot, all with 29 points. L'Orange and Kindersley both, again, also have 29 points. Now, I don't know how it works, because Humboldt's played 2 fewer games and they have the same amount of points. So to me, Humboldt should be in a playoff spot right now, but I don't make the rules. The Estevan Bruins with 24 points are in 10th right now. Notre Dame with 19 in 11th, and Nipawin with 18 in 12th. Let's have a look at the division standings now. As we see in the division standings coming up, the Viterra, Sherwood, and Nutrien divisions. Of course, you can see their past 10 games, and I always like looking at this because you can kind of see how teams are trending. And you see Yorkton with 7 wins in their last 10 games. They're doing great. Weyburn has been up and down. Again, a lot of those games in this past 10 for Weyburn are still in November. They're now catching up, but a lot of these past 10, because they had so many days off with arena issues and game cancellations and stuff, a lot of those games are a while ago, so they're going to catch up. Melville 5-5. They're trying to figure it out. I mean, obviously they won last night, so there is that. But 5-5 in their past 10 games. Estevan technically over 500 in their past 10 games, so they're trending up, I would say. They've still played the fewest games in the entire league. Melfort again 10-0. The win streak is longer than that too. So 10-0 in their last 10. Flin Flon 9-0-1. Obviously, their win streak got snapped by Battleford's, but they're still unbeaten in their last, 11 or 12? So it doesn't show up on this graphic, but it's longer than that as well. L'Orange, they're 5-5 in their past 10. So a chance to kind of solidify a playoff spot for L'Orange because they were a little higher in the standings not that long ago. They've fallen down a little bit just because they haven't been able to get those extra couple wins. Nipawin, to me, playing great. 4-4-1-1. They're playing some really good hockey lately, and some of those young guys, like we talked about Ashton Tate, really coming along. And then in the Nutrien division, Battleford's 5-3-1-1. They've kind of been that way for about a month now. It seems like 5-3-1-1 is kind of what their past 10 has been for about a month. They're winning games. They're pushing games to overtime. They're getting points. The Kindersley Clippers, 4-6. Again, they've slipped down now into that last spot playoff battle. Humboldt, and I think Rory and you know what, Braden Klamoska would be the first to tell you that's not a number they want to see. 3-7 in their past 10 games. Not happy, I'm sure, in the Humboldt area with 29 points. Technically, as of now, as of the standings, sitting outside of a playoff spot. They're tied, of course, like I just mentioned, but probably not where they want to be right now. And then the Notre Dame Hounds, 4-4-0-2. They're battling, and they're keeping games close. They're pushing teams to their limits, like you said, Nugsy. They're playing okay. Of course, losing Vinny Palmerine doesn't help.
Yeah, well, they've scored 2 goals in 3 games since they lost Vinny Palmerine.
Right. So,
I mean, is he all about the goals?
No, but he's a big contributor. He knows he's a big piece. And when, like you said, I think we talked about this, but when you take a guy out of your lineup who's playing 25 to 30 minutes a night, it's tough. That's a big hole.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Hounds have been playing with 7D to kind of maybe fill in some of those minutes and just kind of who's healthy and who's available too. You mentioned something there quickly about why Humboldt is where they are in the top 12 standings. For sure, L'Orange is in 7th. Because the first tiebreaker is wins plus overtime wins.
Okay.
And not including shootout wins. So L'Orange has 0 shootout wins, but 2 overtime wins. So they're definitely in 7, even though they all have 14 points. Kindersley and Humboldt are on a dead heat in those statistical categories. So it's a deeper tiebreak, I guess, between Kindersley and Humboldt. Yeah. So I got to figure that out either whether Kindersley or Humboldt.
I always just think,
but definitely L'Orange is in 7th, and win percentage has nothing to do with it because at the end of the day, they'll all have the same games played. So
at the end of it. I always think if you've played fewer games and you have the same amount of wins and points, you should be higher in the standings. But like I said, I don't make the rules. So that's fine. But anything else stand out in the standings, or are we just still stuck in this parity-filled league that's just, like I said, every time we look at the standings, it seems like it changes so much? Yeah,
I mean, look, Yorkton Battlefords won't go away. I mean, just every time it seems like it's Melfort, Flin Flon, 2-horse race at the top, and obviously Melfort's grown a big lead, and it's a big hole. Even if Flin Flon wins the rest of the way, like when is Melfort losing? So, it's a big hole for Flin Flon there in 2nd compared to 1st, which is not a big deal, of course. Yorkton, Battlefords, Weyburn just won't go away. They're kind of that second tier, and the character that those 3 groups really have shown just continues to impress me. Adversity, hook and by crook, and whether Yorkton's been hurt or whether Weyburn's lost their rank and been hurt or whatever Battlefords has dealt with, the adversity those 3 teams have gone through, very impressive, and hope they keep on keeping on.
And 2nd place still gets you home ice advantage until the finals in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
it didn't help Flin Flon last year.
So. There you go.
Sorry, Mike.
We could reverse that. It's the old reverse Uno card. Nugsy, stop hating on Flin Flon, Nugsy.
Yeah, apparently there's a thing out there.
There's a thing out there.
My last 2 SJHL.ca profiles have been on Flin Flon players.
Yeah, and and it's just so funny because, and I'm not trying to.
It's not anybody affiliated with the Bombers organization.
I'm not bashing any fans or anything. We love the fans, and obviously they drive our engine. But. There was one article that we put out, I think it was after Tuesday's games, and somebody said, Flin Flon won tonight too, right? And it's right in the middle of the article, Flin Flon won. There's a big thing about it. It just wasn't in the headline of the title of the headline. Yeah. And then somebody said, Flin Flon won too, right?
It's, I thank anybody for paying attention.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yep. Like I said, fans drive our engine, so I'm not going to say much more than that. I just think it's funny. Flin Flon, we don't hate you. We love you.
We love you.
Mike Reagan's on in literally like 4 minutes. We got you covered. Cohen Sempt, he was a featured article this week. We got you covered, Flin Flon.
Yep.
We got you. Anyways, final topic number 3. Let's just have a quick mid-season stats report. We look at the top skaters here. We got the top 20 skaters, actually. So let's have a look at the skaters because it is interesting. There have been some names popping in there. We had a big discussion about the top 20 on SJHL Weekly. Not this week, but the week before, I think it was. But as you can see, Riley Kotai has really taken off with that lead for points. Ethan Dike has really jumped up there as well. Jaron Denway has been so steady all year long. So is Jacob Strici, Logan Belton. Nikita Ivashenko, technically a rookie, leading the league in rookie scoring. Keenan Ingram, man, has he popped off since getting to Yorkton as well. My fantasy team thanks him. Mason Buchert, Marko Djordjevic, Dustin Renas, Jerome Maharaj, all at 29 points. Boris Kaufman's having a heck of a season for Humboldt as well, with Kai Benosh just below him there. Ryder Ringer playing really well as well with 27 points. Zach Anderson, a name we don't talk about enough. Zach Anderson for Kindersley, 25 points, 13 goals. He's right up there in the top of the goal-scoring leads. And Jaden Iogan as well. We mentioned him earlier. Max Chakrabarty has been a revelation, I'll say, in Weyburn. Almost a point per game as a defenseman. You got to love to see that. Ryan Rothke, he got off to such a hot start. He's tempered it a little bit, but he still has 15 goals. He's still, what is that, third in the league in goal scoring? So he's still doing well for the Mills. Anthony Campbell, I put him on my most underrated team earlier a couple weeks ago when we did that. He's having such a good season, filling in. We talk about Battleford's every year as like who's going to fill Kean Bell's goals and who's going to fill Holden Dole's points and who's going to fill this guy. Anthony Campbell's been doing that. Raiden Zacharias, another rookie there with over a point per game for Melville. He's been hot lately too. Like you said, he's back up with the Brandon Wheat Kings right now. He played a game, he said the other day, but he'll be back, I'm sure, shortly. Let's have a look at the defenseman scoring now as we take a look as Max Chakrabarty leads the way with Liam Hunks and Trey Fouquet right behind him. And Nugsy, you talked about Liam Hunks earlier. Such a great player. So I've seen him a couple times now this season, and he's definitely earned that.
And can we get like the air horn? Do you guys have an air horn? Anyways, there you go. I made Liam Hunks laugh.
Oh, nice.
I've been trying for like 2.5 years. Been trying to make him laugh.
Would you say that he was so excited?
What?
Would you say that Liam Hunks was so excited?
What?
Sorry, I had to
but
get
yeah,
that.
I mean, I made a joke and he laughed, and it was a big day for me.
There you go.
That's all I have to say.
Rylan Silzer has been such a good player for L'Orange this year. 20 points, 7 goals, second in league scoring for goals. For defensemen, Oakley McIlwain, of course, he's been a huge contributor all season as well for Humboldt with 2 of the top 5 scoring defensemen. Nick Andrusiak, fantastic. Thomas Reese, what a great story he's been. Again, the whole Clay Sleva trade last year, he was a piece that might have gotten overlooked because David Coyle is so good, and now he's performing so well.
And he's got 19 points, and again, never taken a shift where he's cheated in any way.
Yeah.
And he's probably blocked double that amount of shots.
Right.
Like there's no D in the league to me, outside of maybe Liam Hunks, that blocks shots like Thomas Reese. Like he's just a machine. A machine. Yeah.
And noted fast skater as well, I was told to say once.
Not pretty, but fast.
I was told by, I won't name who told me to say that. It was his coach. Jackson Herchak. Jackson Herchak having a wonderful season in Kindersley, and Jordan Grill, of course. We talked to him on SJHL Weekly a few weeks ago. Having a great year. And Ty Thornton as well for Melfort, who I don't think he was in the lineup in the game that you guys played the other night.
Yeah, and also no mustache. I was like, that's so weird to see Ty Thornton with no mustache. He looked about 10, 15 years younger.
Wow.
Than he
That's hard to do as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, and he
looked like a 5-year-old?
Saw him at the concession. I was like, Ty, you look so different.
Ty, you look like you're 5 years old.
Nice guy, though.
I got told by, I'm a baseball coach in my side hustle, and I got told by a 9-year-old that I looked younger than 33 the other day, and that just made my whole month.
Well, Abby said that I was 99 yesterday, so.
There you go.
I said, I feel like it.
Yikes. That's 3 times older than I am currently, so there you go. Let's have a look really quickly at the goalie leaders, and then we're going to get to our interview segment here. As you can see, this is sorted by save percentage, and it's also sorted by qualified goaltenders, so certain goalies who haven't played enough games won't show up on here. But you got Angelo Zoll leading the way, and you see his teammate Dazza Mitchell down there in 9th. Great tandem, of course. We talk about them a lot. Christian Coombs is right there as well. Now, Madden Malacca is not on here. Is he technically not qualified now? That must be the case.
Yeah, he's not on
'Cause
the
he should be in
qualified
there.
goalies list. Yeah.
Melfort has, I thought they had 2 of the top 3 or 4 goalies, unless he somehow tanked his stats recently, but I don't think that's the
he's
case.
a 922 and a 194.
But he's maybe not
played
qualified.
10 games.
Maybe the qualifying is 11 games
Yeah.
because Daza's on there with 11. So
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
that's the case. I don't know. Graham Brown having a great year. We talked with him on SJHL Weekly. Was that this week? Was that this week? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Great kid, by the way. Eddie Gauthier having a nice season in Humboldt. Again, it's not necessarily him. It's just the team. They can't seem to put it all together, especially recently. Callum Craig having a really great rookie season for Yorkton, of course. We talk about him a lot. Nick Jeanette for Melville. Melville's got that rotation of goalies right now. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. We'll see how that kind of shakes down.
My prediction is that it's going to be Lorette and Jeanette the rest of the way. And
I mean,
that is two elite goalies. And I know
run.
Nick Jeanette's had a few bad nights, but
If Melville doesn't come
fan.
up with some sort of social media content based on
Lorette and
Lorette and Jeanette, then they're missing
sounds
out.
like a good show, yeah.
They're missing out. Brett O'Halloran obviously had such a great start to the year for Kindersley. But, of course, Cody Jamin's come back now, and they're splitting time. Justin Merrick, what a star, literally. And then Ethan Farrow down at the bottom there.
Justin Merrick beat Weyburn, snapped their 14-game win streak,
Yep.
beat Flin Flon, snapped their 10-game win streak.
And what a segue that is, because speaking of Flin Flon, Nugsy,
Sorry, Mike.
let's bring on that note.
He's going to be like, I'm not coming on.
On that note, let's bring in Mike Reagan, head coach and general manager of the Flin Flon Bombers, and of course, Team Canada West. Mike, let's start there. Have you had a chance to settle down at all after all of that mayhem with Team Canada West?
To be honest with you, I'm exhausted. It takes its toll on you, especially when you're struggling to win hockey games early on in the tournament and trying to figure out a recipe for success. So it ended on the right foot, and we're pretty proud of the guys. And now it's just the grind here to Christmas. Looking forward to these last 2 games, and then hopefully get some rest here.
Yeah, get some rest for sure. Sleeping pills, melatonin if you need it. It always helps a little bit. But Mike, just going back to that, how difficult is it? And I mean, you went through quite the process to get the team, the selection camp made, and then obviously selecting the team itself. And then you have to throw these players all together and figure out lines and all this stuff. I know other teams in the tournament also had to deal with similar things, but how difficult truly is that from a team management perspective in these kinds of events?
Yeah, it's real difficult. You got players coming from, 3 different leagues. And, when you talk about the opposition, the Swedes, I mean, those guys have played in a lot of international tournaments together. They had 12 guys that were part of the Helenka Gretzky tournament a year ago. They got 3 guys that are rated to go in the first round of the NHL draft, and they have 1 guy that's slotted to go in the top 5 in the draft. So, and then you got the Americans who are all committed to, Boston University, Boston College, North Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, all the top schools. So you're talking about the elite of elite in the USHL. And then I think it's just, bringing these teams together. If you take a look at in the past, typically the round robin, Canada West hasn't done great in it. In 2017, I think we were 0-2 in our first 2 games and ended up winning a gold medal. It takes some time with these guys, to build some chemistry. You're trying to get familiar with them as players, what they can and can't do. With their respective clubs, everybody's probably on the power play and, penalty kill. And you got to find the roles for guys and the line combinations. And it does take some time for sure.
Yeah, for sure, Mike. I really appreciate your time, given what you've just been through for like half a year there. So again, we really appreciate it. We don't have to be politically correct anymore. Well, I mean, we always need to be professional, of course. But I guess just tell us, kind of how the 4 SJHL guys did. Everybody was wondering, are they going to be the same? Are they going to be better? Whatever than the Manitoba League. We saw that at the Warman thing that it was pretty close, and the AJ. The team had so many Alberta players on your team, but how did obviously Luke Lepper and Cohen Seventh and Connor Mill and Jackson Herchak do?
Well, I think maybe it's important for me to explain the whole process too. I know that there's some people out there that think that Luke Lepper and Cohen Senft were there because of me. In my 4 years of doing this, I've always gone into it saying to the rest of the coaching staff, if you like one of our players, you guys will select them. I stay out of it. That's not, I don't want to be biased. Of course, I know the players. If I don't think they will, that they're capable of playing, then, definitely not going to take them. People need to understand we're there to win. As coaches, we're not going to select guys that we don't think that we can win with. And I think the proof is in the pudding that Sempter and scores 2 goals in the bronze game. The game-winning goal was named player of the game, and Luke Lepper was player of the game and our best defenseman throughout the tournament. So was very happy with them. Obviously, as their coach, I'm proud of them. They represented the organization well, and they definitely proved why they should be there. As far as the other two, Millsy, man, that guy's a warrior. Absolutely loved him. I think he was probably one of the guys that was most consistent at the tournament. Did the little things that you need to in order to win. Paid the price, blocking shots, taking hits. Scored I think he scored our first goal of the tournament. So again, he definitely proved that he deserved to be there. And Hirsch as an 07, a young guy at the tournament. I think as the tournament went on, he adjusted to the speed and the pace and contributed, more defensively than offensively. Like, I think in our league, he definitely runs things in Kinnersley as far as an offensive standpoint from the back end, but his role was different with us, and it takes some time to adjust to. And what a great kid! Absolutely love his passion and his compete, and he loves to throw the big hits. So that was one thing we had to do, at times, is just kind of rein him back as far as looking for the big hit. But I thought he played his best game in the bronze medal game, and so all 4 of those guys definitely represented the league well, and I think that they're pretty proud to come home with a bronze medal.
Yeah, for sure. Beautiful picture, by the way, that I didn't give Mike Reagan photo credit. Unfortunately, I should have. I'm sorry, Mike, but sent me the picture of the 4 boys there with their medals. You can find that on the SJHL social media platforms. Obviously 4 beautiful smiling faces. Just take me into the team there. Obviously the round robin, you mentioned it didn't go your way, but I'm a big fan of the Chumbawamba song. You get knocked down, but you get back up again. So just talk about how you guys were able, and obviously I watched that Sweden semifinal game very closely, and you guys played much better than 6-0 for Sweden proves, and I'm sure you would agree with that. And obviously took care of business in the bronze game. But I guess just talk about turning it around, getting them to reset, getting them to remember that they're great players, that they're there for a reason, and play those big games the way they did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest challenge as a coach. I think that every game's a different puzzle, and you got to find the pieces to complete the puzzle, and it's a different challenge, right? And I think that early on, these guys, they come there and they're, like I said, they're typically their best players on their team, and so they come in there thinking that they're going to be able to do the same things at this level, and you got to completely change your game, and sometimes you got to get punched in the face to find out, and I think it was a case of us just trying to be too cute, and so we had to kind of change some things, and then system-wise, you think something's going to work going into the tournament, and then you find out you got to really simplify, and getting the guys to buy into that, I think is difficult. They're usually the skilled guys that don't like to chip and chase, but against the Americans and the Swedes, if you turn over pucks at the blue line, it ends up in the back of your net. And so we had to, we tried to stay positive with the guys early on, and just talk about building and getting better each and every day. And then it got to a point where you had to be a little more stern with them because the buy-in just wasn't where it needed to be at that time. And of course, we're competitive as coaches, and we want to get the best out of the players. And the soft approach wasn't working, so we hammered down on them a little bit of being more demanding on guys that were turning over pucks and that sort of thing. And it all came together. We talked about. Remember, you're playing for the crest on the front of the jersey, but you're also representing the family on the back of the jersey. And, I think that sometimes sinks in when you get to the heartstrings a little bit. And going into the bronze medal game, we talked about now this is East versus West, and let's prove that the West is best. And we were real good. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if we could have played at that tempo the entire tournament, but if we would have got that buy-in and that compete level, like we just ramped it up from maybe a 6 to a 10. And I think the buy-in was huge, and the guys were extremely motivated to win that bronze, and they definitely deserved it. And going back to your comment about the semifinal, we played the Swedes extremely well. We were down 1-0 after the first, and the second goal was a high stick. It went off the back of the glass, hit the back of the crossbar, and went up above, and they whacked it in, and they called it a goal. And I thought that was really disappointing that it was allowed, because our guys deserve better. And then, of course, the Swedes on the power play, look out. You don't cover your check, or you're a foot off your assignment. They're making you pay. So I thought they were the best team at the tournament. I know the Americans won, but the Swedes were very impressive.
I rewound that high stick goal like 5-6 times, and I was like, "How do you miss that?" Did they not have video review, or they just decide not to go?
No, it's absolutely wild that they missed that. Like when you see the replay of it, it's mind-boggling that
his stick was like up here.
That got counted. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So, but it is what it is. I think. You know what? Not to go back in time, but I've had some bad breaks go against us in big games, and so you almost, I don't want to say get used to it, but what do you do?
That's hockey. That's hockey for you. Mike, it must have been kind of nice or relieving, I guess, while you were busy with all of this, to look back at the team at home and say, wow, they are just piling up W's right now. 11-0-1 in your last 12 games as the Flin Flon Bombers now, as we switch back to the SJHL. It must have been nice to see the reports coming back, and probably some good notes coming back from your team back at home during this whole process.
Yeah, to get 7 out of 8 points, you can't complain about that. But I'll be honest with you, going into, I wouldn't take this position if I didn't have complete trust in Cole McKegg and Chris Bordas. And, Brett Boehm came back, Bomber alumni, and helped out with 2 of the games, and was really happy for him to, get that experience to come back in the Whitney Forum and stand on the bench and that sort of thing. So they did a great job. A lot of credit to our players, just, the buy-in and not treating Kegs like a substitute teacher, and he deserves their respect, and he has it, and they proved it to him that, they respect him as a coach and are going to go to war for him and Bort. So really proud of the guys. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times when I go away for these events in the past, it's kind of nice to watch your team from the outside a little bit. I was able to watch the 2 games against Battleford, and I believe we, like, the second and third period in game 2, we absolutely played awesome and probably deserved to win that game. I was disappointed with our 3-on-3 effort, and the boys got to I did video session with them afterwards, and they got to see how disappointing it was to watch that. But other than that, I would say they were, 7 out of the 8 periods, just phenomenal.
For sure. And, Mike, I don't know if it's too simple to put Flin Flon season so far in two acts, because at the beginning, like, there was a point, and I don't know if I've ever seen it, where the Bombers were out of a playoff spot. Yeah, I know it was early and you had injuries and yada yada, but like, it wasn't like you were playing bad either. Just it didn't seem like you were getting the bounces. Now, like, the bounces are coming. Is there any ways or places that you can put your finger on the difference between Act 1 and Act 2?
I would say keeper coming in has been the turning point for us, and Leighton Carruthers. And it's not to take anything away from Kenny. I thought Kenny was playing well, and that sort of thing. Just the calming demeanor that Keeps has, and he's built confidence in the team and with Kenny. I think if you take a look at Kenny's numbers since Keeps has came, they're phenomenal as well. And to have that tandem, I think has been really important. But also, and I don't know if you guys remember, certainly here in Flin Flon, I talked to our fans about being patient. We had a lot of young guys. There was some nights we were playing 10 rookies in the lineup, and 5 of them were 17-year-olds. So with youth comes inexperience and mistakes, and it takes time for them to grow. And if you take a look at what Leo Seitz, Rhett Ewan, Wyatt Stinton, and Ryder Muka have done over the last 3 weeks, you can see how much they've developed and came into their own, and they're only going to get better. That's the one thing with young guys is, if they've got the talent and they've got the work ethic and they're coachable, their growth can be immense from month to month, and we're seeing that now. But honestly, I'm very happy that we went through the adversity that we went through. I think we're a better team now because of it. Last year we didn't face a lot of adversity until February, and it showed after game 1 against Melfort, getting again punched in the face. Our response was just a little bit too late. We dug ourselves too big of a hole, and weren't able to get out of it in the finals. So this adversity that we faced early on has been huge for us.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, Mike, we could talk for hours. We have before. We will again. So again, we really appreciate your time, but don't want to take too much more of it. But I do want to nail in to specifically your local boys, and obviously, it's the Bombers, what they mean to the Flin Flon community. We were texting about it a little bit, I think yesterday or today, just about how cool it is, how much people care, I guess, about the Bombers and Flin Flon. But just to have, obviously, you've had the Lees boys there for a little bit now, and then to add Wyatt Stinton, in the mix, like, that's got to be so special and so meaningful to you to coach these boys, which I'm sure you've been watching since they were little, but also just for the community to have Flin Flon born and bred boys on your team.
Yeah, extremely special. Just myself being able to play for the Bombers, I know how much it means being a local guy. You speak of the Lees boys, Justin actually practiced with us today. He's back for the Christmas break, so that was kind of nice. And Joey's with us now for 3 years, and now we've got Wyatt Stinton and Ryder Muka, both of which have been Bomber billets in the past. And so they bleed maroon and white, just like every local guy here. And to watch those guys grow and that is special, and to be able to coach them. We care about the local players here, and we want to see them do well, and we have an opportunity to develop them and help them get on to the next level. So they're 2 completely different players, but they're both going to be great players, at 18, 19, 20. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to be top 5 scorers in this league at some point here. But they're just honest, hardworking kids that want to get better each and every day. And speaking of our fans, they're the passion and stuff like that. I listening to your guys' little segment beforehand, Yeah, I mean, even myself, it's amazing that I think you guys give us a lot of love, and but our fans are very passionate, and um, I think it's been said before that it's no secret that I've had a lot of Quebec kids here, and they always relate it to being like a mini Montreal. When things are going good, you're a rock star and that sort of thing. But when things are going bad, they let you know about it. So they're very passionate, and you got to understand these people. They talk Bomber hockey 24/7, and in the summertime they can't wait for winter, so they can't wait for Bomber season. So we love the passion, but to our Bomber fans out there, give these guys a break. They do a great job, and they definitely show the love for us and that sort of thing. There are 11 other teams that they have to cover as well. So that would be my message to our Bomber fans. I'll help you guys out there a little bit.
Your $20 is on e-transfer right now, Mike. As you say that. Thank you. Now, just some La Ronge Ice Wolves fans are probably listening to this and they're thinking, did he just say Justin Lees is practicing with them? Yes, he's not eligible to play. He's just at home. I'm sure that would be a nice Christmas present. But he's not eligible. So Ice Wolves fans, you can chill. But speaking of the Ice Wolves, Mike, you got a home and home with La Ronge this weekend. What's the keys to the game this weekend to kind of go into the Christmas break on a high?
Well, before I get into that, it's funny you mentioned that because I said to Kegs today right after practice, I said, man, it'd be so nice to have Justin on this year's team here. But we did our best to try to forge his passport there and switch things up. But in all seriousness, we got a huge 2-game set here with La Ronge, and we haven't seen them in a long time here. We know that they're different. We're different. These two games going into the Christmas break are big for both hockey teams. I think that the biggest thing is which team's going to be on Christmas vacation first. And we've been hammering that home with our guys is just stay focused, and we got a good thing going right now, and we want to go into the Christmas break feeling good about ourselves. So I'm sure that it's going to be intense. I'm sure Keller's got those guys prepped and ready for us as well. It's going to be fun. I think that these games right before Christmas are always interesting. Like I said, you really find out who's on Christmas vacation and who's committed to playing it right till then.
Perfect. That's absolutely it, Mike. And I know there's a lot going on in the next couple days for you, obviously with the 2 games. So make sure you load up on the caffeine, and then, like I said, get some slumber. Just go into a cave for a little while, because when you guys come back, obviously it's not too long before everything kicks up again with the trade deadline and everything. So wish you all the best. Have a great holiday season, Mike, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great Christmas break. You guys deserve the break as well. I know you guys put a lot of hours into this, and definitely the best social media group in Junior A hockey. So well done, men, and the guys in the back as well. And to all our fans in the SJHL, have a Merry Christmas, and especially our passionate Bomber fans.
20 more bucks on the way to you, Mike, for the transfer. So just well done.
Thanks,
You checked all the boxes today. Merry Christmas, Mike. We'll talk to you after the break.
Right on, guys.
All right, there's Mike Reagan, of course, man of many hats.
Yeah.
Many hats he's wearing. And today he was just wearing one hat, but he has been wearing lots of hats lately. So hopefully he can, like I said, get some rest after this weekend and have some good time off. Speaking of some time off, Nugsy, we talked about it a bit on Monday, but what kind of stuff do you have going on for the old Christmas and Hanukkah and everything else going on in your world?
Yeah, my brother's going to come on the 27th, and we're going to see the Pats on the 28th, which is sweet. But you and I both wanted the IKS media tickets, and you were very kind to let me have them, so we appreciate that. It should be fun. Christmas dinner, I guess, with the in-laws who live in Regina. And, watch the World Juniors, of course. Always love the World Juniors, and hope they can bring back the gold. They're going to be certainly a favorite. I know with geopolitics and whatnot, it's complicated. We got to get Russia back in the World Juniors and the World Championships, and makes those tournaments better. But still, there's still obviously going to be good teams, the Americans and the Swedes and whatever. But hey, let's get behind the World Junior boys too, and also get back out in the rink here before the Christmas break is, because you're going to be without it for a little bit.
Yeah.
So
there's 11 games.
Take advantage. It's going to be dizzy.
11 games between now and the end of the first half of the season. So if there's plenty of chances for y'all to get out to the rink. Just a little Saskatchewan note: Braden Yeager named the captain of Team Canada this morning.
Yeah. Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Yeah, but he's from
Yeager.
Saskatoon.
How
of
weird
course,
is
right?
that, eh?
That is weird to say that. Yeah. And Tanner Molendijk is one of the assistants. Of course, he's not from Saskatchewan, but he plays on the Blades. So I know some Saskatchewan people are excited about that news today.
So many. I think back to the COVID year. And getting to watch that Saskatoon Contacts team a couple times, man, like if I had a time machine to be like, watch that guy, watch that guy, watch that guy, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you think about obviously Yeager, you think about Riley Height, you think about Kevin Korchinski and Caden Price and Ty Spencer, and the list goes on. Like, man, it was really, really cool, and that they all were kind of on one team, and you never know. Obviously, there was a lot of good teams in the league that year.
Yeah.
And same in the SJ, but it was neat to think that they were all on one Saskatoon team that you could see at the Dunk in McNeil or wherever. So pretty cool.
My claim to fame, my the whole 5 minutes of fame back in the day was that I played against Braden Shen in a tournament once. And Luke Shen, I never played against him, but we did cross paths. I never actually played a game against him, though, but at a tournament one year. Because it's Luke and then me and then Braden in terms of ages. So I never did play against Luke. I encountered him, and I played against Braden. And also Jaden Schwartz was another guy that I played against when we were like 15. It was stupid.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say it.
Very proud Notre Dame alum, of course.
Of course,
and
the whole
speaking
family,
of Notre Dame, I also would like to quickly mention the Mandy Schwartz Invitational Tournament.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Which, of course, is a tournament in honor of the Schwartz, Jaden Schwartz, Rylan Schwartz, their big sister Mandy, who played college hockey and passed away to cancer. And every year Notre Dame hosts the best AAA U18 girls tournament in Western Canada. And this year they really, really brought the best. Maybe with, obviously the exception of Rink, Kelowna, and Delta didn't come. But other than that, it was pretty much all the best of the best. And it was a really good final between Shawnigan Prep and South Alberta Hockey Academy, two CSSHL teams for the first time in the final. And I called it, I called Shawnigan's championship win with Taya Lonsdale, the Cornell commit, was really leading the way. I scored a hat trick in that one for Shawnigan Prep. So cool for them. And
very cool.
Always cool every year. It's a highlight for me to call either one or a bunch of those Mandy Schwartz games in Wilcox. And if you get a chance in the future in December, make sure you come down and check it out. It's always a lot of fun.
There you go. Love to hear that. Let's have a look at the weekend schedule. There is a game tonight, and it is in Assiniboia, as I mentioned. Totally forgot. But yeah, no, I made literally our SJHL Game Day video presented by Original 16. I made that this morning and then completely forgot about it. That's just where my brain is at right now. It's on holiday mode. It's getting there. But the Humboldt Broncos are in Weyburn tonight. It's back in Weyburn. This one's back in Weyburn. It's at Crescent Point Place. I'm just going to double check this one.
Double check.
Because I'm pretty sure, Bryce, we might have to remake that entire video from this morning. No, I'm pretty sure.
The website says
it says Crescent Point Place. I'm pretty sure it's back at Crescent Point
and I'm
Place.
not remaking that.
We just won't post it.
Yeah, you're right. It is Crescent Point Place.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're back.
Lineup says so. They're back.
Because I remember
out there, Weyburn fans.
Here's where my brain was. Kyle McIntyre, our commissioner, our great and powerful commissioner. That's weird to say. But he was in Assiniboia, I'm pretty sure, on Tuesday night, and he said, "Thanks, Assiniboia. It's been a great time. You were a great host." Blah blah blah.
Mistake.
So I think my head was in the right place all along. Who knows? It is what it is. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're back. But the weird part is...
Can't listen to Newsy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
All my credibility out the window.
But the weird part is, and maybe somebody from Weyburn can text me, but their games always start at 7 in Weyburn. So I don't know why it's a 7:30 start. That's my only thing.
It says 7.
No, it's a 7:30 on the website.
It says 7 on the Weyburn roster sheet.
Jesus. Who knows? What is going on?
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
There's some stuff going on, folks. We don't even know anymore. What roster sheet are you looking at?
The Weyburn Red Wings roster sheet.
Wow, crazy.
Anyways.
Fair enough. But anyways, there is a game. Regardless, a game is taking place tonight. So that's the most important thing that we need to let you guys know. And then on Friday, there's 5 games. And then on Saturday, there's 5. So let's have a look at Friday. Humboldt will be visiting Estevan. They have actually 3 games and 3 nights. So Rory McGoran is going to need some of that vinegar or honey or whatever broadcasters use to keep their vocal cords loose and limber. He's going to need some of that. The Melfort Mustangs are in Nipawin. Notre Dame is in Yorkton to play the Terriers. Battlefords will take on Kindersley. Kindersley's back at home, and then I think after this one, they're pretty much on the road for the rest of the season, pretty much. Flin Flon, again, we talked with Mike Reagan just now, home-and-home series with Larange. And then on Saturday, of course, a lot of these teams flip-flop. Humboldt stays in Estevan. Weyburn is going to take on Yorkton. Kindersley against Battlefords again. And then Larange, again, it's the flip-flop of locations with Flin Flon, and then Nipawin and Melfort flip-flop locations as well. So 11 games before the break. Nugsy, is there any ones that stand out to you before the break? Or what's going into the break, what are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I mean, every SaskTel game of the month is so special.
Right.
So much fun. Tomorrow in Nipawin, Nick Nielsen, the voice of the Prince Albert Raiders, longtime voice of the Weyburn Red Wings. He'll have the play-by-play call. I'll be doing color. Sean Mullen, I'll be doing the hosting. You look at the matchup and you say, hey, Melfort should win. And maybe on paper that's the case, but Nipawin hasn't been too much of a big fan of paper lately.
No, they hate paper there.
They don't like paper. You go into that rink, Ashton Tate's hot. They've really retooled their decor in Nipawin. I love the way Tad goes and coaches. I love the way he general managers with Dana Dirks. You know, they trust in younger players. They're trying to build something together. They're trying to build a team for scouts to look at and watch. Right. They're in Nipawin, so make sure you watch that. Very interested to see how healthy Melfort's decor is. With Thornton and Unger and Roberts not in. Obviously, it's always appointment of viewing to watch Nolan Roberts play because he just hits like a truck. So, very interesting to see if Melfort, bounces back and plays better maybe than they did in Wilcox. Interesting to see how Nipawin Chumbawambas gets back stronger after getting hammered in the Whitney Forum. It's going to be fun. It's going to be on SaskTel TV local. Max, stream it, watch it on TV, find it on your local listings. And, producer Rusty with the Bamboo Shoots crew will be there. I'm looking forward to some damn smokehouse barbecue in Nipawin tomorrow as well with Jacob Faith and Nicky Nielsen and whatnot. And I can ask Nicky Nielsen about how Vinny Palmerine is doing with the Prince Albert Raiders because I miss Vinny quite a lot. And I'm very happy that he's got Nicky to broadcast. So make sure you tune that. Which one are you interested in, Clark?
Shout out SaskTel for the SaskTel game of the month. Got to make sure we pump that. I'm looking at, and this is going to be a tale, Nugsy, and I always look at how a game or a set of 2 games or a series can affect the bigger picture, right? Obviously, you look at, Larange and Flin Flon is going to be fun. That's a great one. Weyburn Yorkton on Saturday, I think maybe can be looked at as maybe like the best, again, on paper, game of the weekend, possibly, just because it's 2 heavyweight teams. But the one I'm looking at in terms of storylines and how it could affect everything else is the Humboldt-Estevan back-to-back in Estevan. And the reason I say that, Nugsy, is because if you look at the standings, actually, can we bring up the standings, Rolf? The overall league standings one more time? For those who are watching, the visual will come up for you. But if Humboldt, sitting in 9th place right now, loses both games to the Estevan Bruins, now I'm not saying they're going to, I'm just saying if, Estevan will then be 1 point out of a playoff spot. They could get 4 points, push them to 28 points, which will lead them right neck and neck with whatever teams end up with 29 points after this weekend. That could be all 3 of Larange, Kindersley, and Humboldt, depending on what happens, of course, in the other series. Again, Kindersley's playing Battlefords. Is that twice? They playing them twice?
Yep.
Yes. They're doing a home-and-home with Battlefords. And Larange, of course, the home-and-home with Flin Flon. So there is a potential, Nugsy, that by the end of this weekend and going into the Christmas break, we could have between 2nd and 10th place barely any points separating any of those teams. And I just think, hold on a minute. If do the math correctly, let's say Flin Flon wins both against Larange and Battlefords wins both against Kindersley. Those point totals will be higher, of course. But what I'm saying is, and I think everyone understands what I'm saying, is that the playoff push is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
If Estevan wins both of these games. So that's the ones I'm looking at most, just to keep an eye on the results. And so there you go. That's my answer for the weekend coming up. What's going to happen? And it's going to be crazy, and should be a great weekend overall. As we say every week, there's 11 games, and then it's over for, I mean, what is it, a week and a half, 2 weeks? Pretty much.
Come back on the 30th, Melville.
Right.
Melville Yorkton have like a home and home over New Year's.
Yeah,
so
there you go. But not every team is going to be in action until into January. So this is your last chance. If there's a game going on in your area or around you, get to the rinks. Oops, I smashed into the microphone. Get to the rinks. Get your tickets. Support the teams. Bring your family out. Bring your kids. Bring your grandparents. Bring your uncles and aunts who are visiting from Kentucky. Bring everybody, and it should be a great time. Get out to the rinks. There's a lot of good hockey going on. And make sure, if you can't get to the rinks, of course, we've got you covered. Make sure you get your Flow Hockey subscription and follow us on all of our social media channels on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have all the highlights for you, and we'll have everything covered for you on SJHL.ca if you want to catch on the recaps. And Flin Flon, if you're not in the headlines, we promise we're still talking about you. Nugsy, I got your back on that one. You might be in the headlines, though. Who knows? But if you're not in the headline, it doesn't mean we're not talking about you. I promise. And thank you again to Mike Reagan for coming to our defense. Great guy. And again, $40. You made $40 on the show today. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, of course. Borgo, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. Again, they are our sponsor of all of our coaches talks. So anytime we have a coach or a manager, of course, on, it's Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. They're great people over there. Chevrolet, I think I said that already. Nutrient, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, our broadcast sponsor. You can see them, where am I? You can see them on our wall right here, UPL, and also on the door over there. They're all over the place.
Yep.
So, but UPL, big fans of those guys. SGEU, Great Western, SGI, our podcast sponsor, and RBC, our community ambassador and sponsor. They're still doing community ambassador, right? I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Yep.
Nugsy, all the best to you and yours over the holiday season, to whatever you celebrate. I know you celebrate lots of things. And Rory, I know you're not here, but huge thank you to Megan, because I crushed that entire tin of treats that she gave us last night.
Well, mine lasted way shorter than yours.
Well, I didn't open it. In terms of treat per 60, and you know, like wins per 60 or goals per 60, treats per 60, mine is a lot higher as of recent.
Yeah.
And wow, they were good. So shout out to Megan, and thank you, Rory, for bringing that. But also thanks to Bryce and thanks to Rolf. If you want to show yourselves.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bryce, for all the work you do. Rolf, thanks for hopping in. You always do a great job when you do, and thank you for that. Ryan, Jordan, Steven, who all jump in time to time on the show in the back end. Yeah. Kelly, our graphic designer, has been a treat to work with all year. Of course, he was our huge pusher of the Movember campaign. So shout out to him. To Jacob Faith in the back. He's not here today, but Jacob Faith in the marketing department, I should say. Commissioner Kyle. Paul Drouin here at IKS. And all the fan bases. All the governors, all the presidents, all the players, all the volunteers, all the ticket takers, all of the concession stand sellers, all of the 50-50 sellers, all of those people that make this league run each and every week. Thank you for doing what you do. It keeps this thing going. And like I said, the fans are what drives our engine, Nugsy. They're the fuel that gets into the engines. And I think that's how engines work. But the fans are the ones that do this. So thank you all. And of course, to all the players, we talked about Melville, maybe some of the players heading home for the holidays. Have a great holiday. But finish off this weekend strong. And we're excited to see what happens this weekend. Some results can really change the whole trajectory of the second half of the season. So really looking forward to the weekend, Nugsy. I think you'll agree with me. Thanks for joining me so far, first half of the season. And we'll be back after the Christmas break. It'll actually be, is it January 6th, I think, is our first broadcast back for SJHL Weekly. And then we'll be back on SJHL Insider that week, of course. And then the week after that, is our special SJHL trade deadline episode where we're going to recap. Now, it'll be a couple of days after the deadline, but unfortunately, the deadline's on a Friday this year, so there's nothing we can do about it. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, of course, and then Monday we'll have the full recap and review for you to kind of set up the... I always think the post-trade deadline is the official second half of the season. So we'll set up the official second half. But we'll be back with a couple shows before that. Get your tickets now. Keep it locked on sjhl.ca. We'll have you fully covered, and we'll be back after the Christmas break. So enjoy the hockey this weekend. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll talk to you soon, SJHL fans. Bye for now.
Merry Christmas, everyone!